Hi, my name is Akani Cindy Bialangi and I'm here with my partner Rudy Maramsero, and today we are going to be doing a project proposal 1 which is based on solubility test and melting point test. The aim of our project is to determine the chemical nature of the given unknown compound. We are going to start off with our solubility test. As you can see, a small amount of the unknown substance was added to the test tube labeled water, and a few drops of water was added into the test tube. After adding a few drops of water to the test tube was shaken properly and observed. Here is an overview of what the mixture looks like. It can be concluded that the substance is insoluble in water. Since the substance is insoluble in water, we have to check its solubility in the other reagent. First off, we are going to dissolve the unknown substance into sodium carbonate. As you can see, a small quantity of the unknown substance was added to the test tube labeled NaHCO3, and few drops of sodium carbonate was added to the test tube. The mixture was shaken properly and observations were made. Here is an overview of the solution. It was concluded that the substance was soluble in sodium carbonate. On the other hand, in water, the substance is insoluble. Next up, we are going to take a small quantity of the unknown and add it to the test tube labeled NaOH. Add a few drops of NaOH to the test tube labeled NaOH. Shake the test tube properly and observe the mixture carefully. It can be seen that the unknown substance was soluble in NaOH. Moving on to the next reagent, take a small quantity of the unknown substance and add it to the test tube labeled HCl. Add few drops of HCl into the test tube. Shake the test tube properly and observe carefully. It was concluded that the unknown substance was soluble in HCl. Moving on to the last test. A small quantity of the unknown was added to the test tube labeled H2SO4. A few drops of H2SO4 was added to the test tube. The test tube was shaken properly and observed. Instant color change can be seen in the test tube. PPT and bubble formation was also observed. Wrapping up our solubility test, the unknown was insoluble in water, so we had to move on to the next reagent. Unknown was soluble in NaCO3 but with no bubbles. We had to move on to the next reagent. Unknown was soluble in NaOH but with no bubbles, so we had to move on to the next reagent. The unknown was soluble in HCl and also soluble in H2SO4 but with color change. So our unknown can either be an alkene, alcohol, aldehyde or ketone. The next few tests will properly determine what our unknown is. Moving on to our melting point test, unknown substance was filled in the capillary tube. The capillary tube was inserted into the melting point apparatus with a thermometer. This thermometer was to determine the melting point of our unknown. Our melting point was 135 degrees Celsius, which is also the melting point of methanol. Thank you. For our functional group test, as you can see, here is our unknown and the 10 different reagents that are going to be used. First off, we're going to place a small amount of unknown into the test tube. And then we're going to add a few drops of tolerant reagents into the test tube. Shake the test tube carefully and observe the mixture. Upon observation, the unknown was insoluble in the tolerance reagent. Next up, we add a small amount of the unknown into the test tube labeled FeCl3. Few drops of FeCl3 reagent was added into the test tube and the test tube was shaken properly. As you can be seen here, upon shaking for a few minutes, this is the result obtained. The unknown was insoluble in FeCl3. The next step, a small amount of the unknown was added into the test tube labeled AgNO3. A few drops of AgNO3 solution was added into the test tube. The solution was shaken properly, and as you can see, the unknown was insoluble in AgNO3. Moving on, a small amount of the unknown was added into the test tube labeled NaOH. A few drops of NaOH solution was added into the test tube and the solution was shaken properly. It was observed that the solution was soluble. Next up, a small amount of the unknown solution was added into the KMnO4 test tube. A few drops of KMnO4 solution was added into the test tube and the test tube was shaken properly. Here is an overview of the reagents that has already been used. Next up, a few drops of the unknown solution was added into the I2 test tube. A few drops of I2 solution was added into the test tube and the test tube was taken properly. Moving on, a small amount of the unknown was added into the test tube label H2SO4. A few drops of H2SO4 solution was added into the test tube and the test tube was taken properly and observed. As you can see, the light yellow color, and when distilled water was added, the color changed. Next up, small amount of ethanol was added into the test tube label ethanol, and a few drops of ethanol solution was added into the test tube and shaken properly. It was observed that the unknown solution was soluble in ethanol solution. After doing all the experiments, only one solution actually stood out, which is H2SO4 solution, and our unknown was added into the H2SO4 solution. As you can see, the color change here. It is the first test tube. Before distilled water was added, this is the color, and upon addition of distilled water, the color completely changed from light yellow to dark yellowish brown. It was concluded that our unknown was aspirin. Thank you.